Walking along Broadway, I stop at an automated teller where, just for the hell of it, I take out another $100, feeling better having an even $500 in my wallet. I find myself walking through the antique district below 14th Street. My watch has stopped, so I'm not sure what time it is, but probably 10:30 or so. Black guys pass by, offering crack or hustling tickets to a party at the Palladium. I walk by a newsstand, a dry cleaner's, a church, a diner. The streets are empty. The only noise breaking up the silence is an occasional taxi cruising toward Union Square. A couple of skinny faggots walk by while I'm at a phone booth checking my messages, staring at my reflection in an antique store's window. One of them whistles at me. The other laughs. A high, fey, horrible sound. A torn playbill from Les Miserables tumbles down the cracked, urine-stained sidewalk. A street lamp burns out. Someone in a Jean-Paul Gaultier topcoat takes a piss in an alleyway. Steam rises from below the streets, billowing up in tendrils, evaporating. Bags of frozen garbage line the curbs. The moon, pale and low, hangs just above the tip of the Chrysler Building. Somewhere, from over in the West Village, the siren from an ambulance screams. The wind picks it up. It echoes, then fades. The bum, a black man, lies in the doorway of an abandoned antique store on 12th Street, on top of an open grate, surrounded by bags of garbage and a shopping cart from Gristides, loaded with what I suppose are personal belongings: newspapers, bottles, aluminum cans. A hand-painted cardboard sign attached to the front of the cart reads, "I am hungry and homeless, please help me." A dog, a small mutt, short-haired and rail-thin, lies next to him, its makeshift leash tied to the handle of the grocery cart. I didn't notice the dog the first time I passed by. It's only after I circle the block and come back that I see it lying on a pile of newspapers, guarding the bum, a collar around its neck with an oversized nameplate that reads, Gizmo. The dog looks up at me, wagging its skinny, pathetic excuse for a tail. When I hold out a gloved hand, it licks at it hungrily. The stench of some kind of cheap alcohol, mixed with excrement, hangs here like a heavy, invisible cloud, and I have to hold my breath before adjusting to the stink. The bum wakes up, opens his eyes, yawning, exposing remarkably stained teeth between cracked purple lips. He's 40-ish, heavy-set, and when he attempts to sit up, I can make out his features more clearly in the glare of the street lamp. A few days' growth of beard, triple chin, a ruddy nose lined with thick brown veins. He's dressed in some kind of tacky-looking lime-green polyester pantsuit, with washed-out Sergio Valente jeans worn over it, this season's homeless person's fashion statement, along with a ripped orange and brown V-neck sweater stained with what looks like burgundy wine. He seems very drunk, either that or he's crazy or stupid. His eyes can't even focus when I stand over him, blocking out the light from a street lamp, covering him in shadow. I kneel down. "Hello," I say, offering my hand, the one the dog licked. "Pat Bateman." The bum stares at me, panting with the exertion it takes to sit up. He doesn't shake my hand. "You want some money?" I ask gently. "Some food?" The bum nods and starts to cry, thankfully. I reach into my pocket and pull out a $10 bill, then change my mind, and hold out a $5 instead. "Is this what you need?" The bum nods again and looks away, shamefully, his nose running, and after clearing his throat says quietly, "I'm so hungry." "It's cold out, too," I say, "isn't it?" "I'm so hungry." He convulses once, twice, a third time, then looks away, embarrassed. "Why don't you get a job?" I ask, the bill still held in my hand, but not within the bum's reach. "If you're so hungry, why don't you get a job?" He breathes in, shivering, and between sobs admits, "I lost my job." "Why?" I ask, genuinely interested. "Were you drinking? Is that why you lost it? Insider trading?" Just joking. "No, really, were you drinking on the job?" He hugs himself between sobs, chokes. "I was fired. I was laid off." I take this in, nodding. "Gee, that's too bad." "I'm so hungry," he says, then starts crying hard, still holding himself. His dog, the thing called Gizmo, starts whimpering. "Why don't you get another one?" I ask. "Why don't you get another job?" "I'm not..." He coughs, holding himself, shaking miserably, violently, unable to finish the sentence. "You're not what?" I ask softly. "Qualified for anything else?" "I'm hungry," he whispers. I know that, I say. "Geez, you're like a broken record. I'm trying to help you." My impatience rises. "I'm hungry," he repeats. "Listen, do you think it's fair to take money from people who do have jobs, who do work?" His face crumples and he gasps, his voice raspy. "What am I gonna do?" "Listen," I say. "What's your name?" "Al," he says. "Speak up," I tell him. "Come on." "Al," he says, a little louder. "Get a goddamn job, Al," I say earnestly. "You've got a negative attitude. That's what's stopping you. You've got to get your act together. I'll help you." "You're so kind, mister. You're kind. You're a kind man," he blubbers. "I can tell." "Shh," I whisper. "It's okay." I start petting the dog. "Please," he says, grabbing for my wrist. "I don't know what to do. I'm so cold." "You know how bad you smell?" I whisper this soothingly, stroking his face. "The stench. My God." "I can't..." He chokes and swallows. "I can't find a shelter." "You reek," I tell him. "You reek of shit." I'm still petting the dog, its eyes wide and wet and grateful. "Do you know that, goddammit? Al, look at me. Stop crying like some kind of faggot," I shout. My rage builds, subsides, and I close my eyes, bringing my hand up to squeeze the bridge of my nose. Then I sigh. "Al, I'm sorry. It's just that... I don't know. I don't have anything in common with you." The bum's not listening. He's crying so hard he's incapable of a coherent answer. I put the bills slowly back into the pocket of my Luciano Soprani jacket, and with the other hand stop petting the dog and reach into the other pocket. The bum stops sobbing abruptly and sits up, looking for the $5, or, I presume, his bottle of Thunderbird. I reach out and touch his face gently once more with compassion and whisper, "Do you know what a fucking loser you are?" He starts nodding helplessly, and I pull out a long, thin knife with a serrated edge. And being very careful not to kill him, push maybe half an inch of the blade into his right eye, flicking the handle up, instantly popping the retina. The bum is too surprised to say anything. He only opens his mouth in shock and moves a grubby, mittened hand slowly up to his face. I yank his pants down, and in the passing headlights of a taxi can make out his flabby black thighs, rashed because of his constantly urinating in the pantsuit. The stench of shit rises quickly into my face, and breathing through my mouth, down on my haunches, I start stabbing him in the stomach lightly, above the dense matted patch of pubic hair. This sobers him up somewhat, and instinctively he tries to cover himself with his hands, and the dog starts yipping, really furiously, but it doesn't attack. And I keep stabbing at the bum now, between his fingers, stabbing the backs of his hands. His eye, burst open, hangs out of its socket and runs down his face, and he keeps blinking, which causes what's left of it inside the wound to pour out like red, veiny egg yolk. I grab his head with one hand and push it back, and then with my thumb and forefinger hold the other eye open and bring the knife up and push the tip of it into the socket, first breaking its protective film so the socket fills with blood, then slitting the eyeball open sideways, and he finally starts screaming once I slit his nose in two, lightly spraying me and the dog with blood, Gizmo blinking to get the blood out of his eyes. I quickly wipe the blade clean across the bum's face, breaking open the muscle above his cheek. Still kneeling, I throw a quarter in his face, which is slick and shiny with blood, both sockets hollowed out and filled with gore, what's left of his eyes literally oozing over his screaming lips in thick webby strands. Calmly, I whisper, "There's a quarter. Go buy some gum, you fucking crazy nigger." Then I turn to the barking dog, and when I get up, stomp on its front legs while it's crouched down ready to jump at me, its fangs bared, immediately shattering the bones in both its legs, and it falls on its side, squealing in pain, front paws sticking up in the air at an obscene, satisfying angle. I can't help but start laughing, and I linger at the scene, amused by this tableau. When I spot an approaching taxi, I slowly walk away.